In this video, we are going to use a free plugin called BackWP to back up our site. And to do this, we just select plugin and add new. And we search for BackWP. Search plugins. And it should be the first one there. BackWP free WordPress backup plugin. And we're going to use this plugin to back up to Dropbox. Dropbox is a free cloud storage service. And the reason we want to back up to Dropbox is, well, really two reasons. Number one is that Dropbox, when we back up to Dropbox, it's on its own separate server. Because sometimes when your site gets hacked, or if your site is down, maybe an attack on your entire server and not just your site. So if you're backing up to, and if we just activate the plugin, and if you're backing up to your own server and your server goes down, then you'd be in big trouble because you've lost your site and you've lost your backups. The second reason why I like to back up to Dropbox is that Dropbox has a desktop app that allows you to synchronize whatever you have in their cloud storage platform straight to your PC. So you'll have it backed up online and you have it backed up on your PC. And there is a free option with Dropbox. You get up to 2 GB free. And there is also the option to upgrade, and you can also increase the storage, your free storage, by referring friends. And I'll just give you a link where you can sign up and get some free storage just for signing up through that link, apart from the 2 GB. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and start to use BackWP. And the first thing we want to do is select jobs. And then we are going to just click jobs. And then we're going to add a new job. And the first tab we have is the General tab. So you want to name the job for your purposes. I'm just going to call this my backup. Then the next thing is the job tasks, and this is just where you determine what you back up, and the defaults are fine, your database of files, and the installed plugins list. And the next thing we look at is the archive name, which just creates a timestamp. This default is fine, you don't need to adjust this. The next thing is the archive formats, and this is just the method of compression so that your backups will be faster, because as you can imagine, you're backing up your entire site, so you can use a zip, a tar zip, or a tar bzip2. Now the default is fine, so you can just leave it as is. And the next thing that we will look at is the job destination, and this is, of course, where you would send the backup to, and you can back up to a folder, backups by email, backup to FTP. As I mentioned, we're going to back up to Dropbox for reasons that I mentioned before, but you can also send to email, Amazon S3, SugarSync, all the other options are there. And you can use more than one option, but I prefer just to use Dropbox to keep it simple. And email, the next thing is our log files, and email is required. And you'll just receive an email if there are errors during job execution. Okay, so this just is to ensure that everything goes okay. The next thing that we would look at is the Schedule tab. We just go back up, and you want to select with WordPress cron, and this just uses a feature within your hosting account to utilize automatic backups. Next thing is the type. You want to select basic, and then now you have the scheduler. So you have the option to backup daily, hourly, weekly, monthly. Now, weekly will be fine for most people, and this really is up to you, depending on how often you update your site, and if you really require daily or hourly backups, as in you need to back up that often because you're adding content that often, then you may actually need to look at a premium option. Now, on the weekly and the time, you see the 3 for the hour just means 3 a.m. and you can do it at 3:25 or 3:30, whatever it is. I find that Sunday at this time, 3 a.m. in the morning is a good time. You probably don't have a lot of visitors on your site. And just one thing to note is that if you use this plugin for a lot of your sites, then you want to stagger the backup times so that you don't overload your server. So the next tab is our database backup. And these are the WordPress tables that are included. You really don't need to change this at all. So we can move on to our next tab, which is our files. And here you can determine what files you include or exclude. Again, the default is fine. But for example, you may want to exclude themes from your backups, because you should be easily able to restore your themes from either from the repository, or if you bought a theme, you should be able to get the download back pretty easily. One thing you may choose to do is just maybe back up the current theme that you're using. Okay, so the next tab that we look at is the plugins tab. And this just creates a file with the names of all your plugins and whether or not they were activated. And this will just take the name of your site. And in terms of file compression, you can leave it at none because it just creates a small text file with a list of plugins. So we can next look at the Dropbox tab. And this is specific because we chose to use Dropbox. So if I just jump over to Dropbox, and I'm just going to go over and log in. And like I said, Dropbox is absolutely free. So I'm going to log in because we will need to authenticate with Dropbox using their API to ensure that this process works seamlessly. So we're going to use re-authenticate full Dropbox. We're not going to use the sandbox option. We're going to use the full Dropbox option. And just for the backup settings, the folder that will be used in Dropbox is WP Video Sidekick. That's defaulted based on the name. The file deletion. Okay, this allows you to choose a number of files that you keep in the folder. Now, by default, it is 15. And since I'm updating weekly, this means that I have 15 weeks of backups inside my folder. Now, I don't need this many backups because, you know, if your site goes down, you probably know in a couple of days or a couple of weeks. So I will choose a number like 4, which means I'll have 4 weeks, which is a full month of backups. But it really is up to you. You can choose how many backups that you need. Just keep in mind that all the backups will be deleted once you reach this number. So we can go ahead now and authenticate. And this will take us over to the Dropbox site. And since I'm already logged in, I will see the screen. And we just need to click allow to authenticate. And if you weren't logged in, you'd be asked to log in and then you could click allow. So once you see the sign that says authenticated, then we're pretty much finished. You want to save all your changes. Make sure you save all your changes. And the next thing you want to do is to do a run now, to test it, to make sure that everything works. And this shouldn't take long, so I'm just going to run it right now. Right now our site is quite small, so it shouldn't take much time. And you will see where the plugin is getting to work, and what's happening is that it is copying our sites based on the specifications that we made. And now two things are actually happening. It is backing up our site to Dropbox Online in the cloud storage, and it's also backing up to our desktop because I have the app installed, which synchronizes. So it's just about finished. It shouldn't take much longer. Right, so there we go, 100%. And if there were any problems, you would receive an error message, to say exactly what went wrong. In this case, everything went perfectly fine. And if you just look to the bottom of my screen, you will see that it's now been synchronized with my PC. So I have a copy now on my PC, which I can use, which is safe. I can, again, if I wanted to back this up somewhere else, like on a thumb drive or external hard drive, I can do that. And it's also at our Dropbox folder online. There you go, in the folder we assigned. So there we go. Now you have automatic backups for your site, so you can sleep knowing that your site is continuously being backed up automatically.